भद्रं कर्णैभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागं सस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Let us now pray together. We offer our salutations to the all-loving being who endows all beings with consciousness. We meditate on the Lord, who is the origin of the universe. Lord, Thou abidest in all, Thou art all, Thou assumest all forms, Thou art the origin and goal of all. Thou art the self of all, Thou art existence, knowledge and bliss. Salutations unto Thee. May the world be peaceful. May the wicked become gentle. May all creatures think of mutual welfare. May their minds be occupied with what is spiritual and abiding. May our hearts be immersed in selfless love for the Lord. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. On last Wednesday, it was the birthday of Lord Rama, and then it is always described that birthday is of someone who is actually unborn, all-pervading, the God Himself who takes the human form, gets born as if born like a human being to bestow the liberation, salvation to mankind. So it is the Lord, the God, as one of the great hymns on the life of Rama says, Swalilaya jagatratum avirbhutam ajam vibhum, that just as a matter of one's own sport, the Lord comes to this world that takes a form for what? To bring the liberation to the world, to protect the world. So this is how that it is the life of Rama is described. And with Rama are his other companions who together make for the play, as it were. The whole play is, it is not just one character. The play is with so many different characters there. And with that, the great human-like personality tells us various important things about this personality of Rama, as well as how we should walk in the footsteps of Lord so that our life will become blessed. It is the twofold thing that it is Rama lives and also while living shows us how to live. So in fact, for that purpose of showing that his life is and he is the Lord of Maya, as Sri Ramakrishna describes, that is God also subject to the power of delusion that is called Maya? Is Lord also subject to it? Sri Ramakrishna says, no, he is not subject to it, although that is his power is always with him. But yet he is never subject to it. He is the Lord of Maya, and gives a very beautiful analogy. Just as a venomous snake has venom always in the mouth, but that venom is not killing the snake. But the one whom the snake bites, that fellow gets killed by it. So this is how there is this difference between what is called the Lord of Maya and the subjects of Maya. We are all subjects of Maya. So we are under the power of Maya. But Lord is the Lord of Maya. So it is described here. Today's discussion will be from one particular small part of this great biography of Rama, Tulsi Ramayana, or Ramacharita Manas. Means as it arose in the mind of the devotee Tulsi Das Manasa. So this Ramayana has been described accordingly. There may be some variations from what is the Ramayana composed by Valmiki, which is considered a more historical a document. And Tulsidas is a document of devotion. While meditating on Rama, while singing the glories of Rama, how Rama came to him, that Rama is being described, and Tulsidas sees no contradiction in it. That the Valmiki's Rama, yes, I salute Valmiki, the great sage who brought that life first to us. And there is history to it. But then in life there is importance not just of history. Is there no importance to poetry? It is the poetry, the Lord who is actually in the heart of everybody, and one's own meditations has the Lord coming to that devotee in a particular way. Moreover, it is biography of God, who is dear to everyone. God is the goal of everyone. It is not one person, although appears as a person, is in essence that divine who is actually the goal of mankind. And so every being is connected to that. God is looking for that, the grace of that, and therefore as many devotees, Tulsidas says, as many devotees are there, so many different biographies of Rama get generated. It is quite natural. There is no conflict in it. It is that narrator of Ramayana describes very beautifully that, look, it is, take the scene that Rama is taking leave of everyone when he was banished to 14 years of stay in forest, and all the people in that city of Ayodhya, they were full of tears. They were not able to even, think that now we will not be able to see Rama with our eyes. And with teary eyes they were following Rama, and they devotee says, well, I was also in that crowd. Uh, and then Rama was saying everybody go back and was embracing everybody. And he came to me when he saw me and he embraced me. I got his embrace before he left Ayodhya, the city, to the forest. So I was so fortunate. There were so many there, but Rama's eyes fell on me and he came, piercing that crowd and embraced me. So, when this devotee writes Ramayana, he will narrate it like that. Other devotee would say, well, other parts of this Ramayana seem to be okay, but actually that is not true that Rama went to that devotee. Actually, he came to me. So, because that is how in devotion you are perceiving that God is connected to me. Like all gopis saw that Krishna is with them, with each of them. Krishna is there. So being with one doesn't mean that it is not with others. So that is how the character of this God is. So Tulsidas wrote this, and with the idea of spreading the devotion, that how the devotion to this Lord becomes the means of our liberation. And that is what we want. So it is, let us begin. Yanmaya vashavarti vishwamakhilam brahmadidevasura yatsattvadamrushaiva bhati sakalam rajau yatha brahma. I adore Lord, known by the name of Sri Rama, who is superior to and lies beyond all causes, whose Maya, the delusive power, holds sway over the entire universe, including all the gods, the demigods, right from Brahma downwards to all the demons, and whose presence lends positive reality to the world of appearances, even as the false notion of a serpent is entertained with reference to a rope which is real. Just as that you see snake, this is a very well-known Vedanta analogy. You see this snake, but actually there is no snake. There is rope there, which appears like the snake. So what gives the feeling of existence to that snake? It is the rope. Otherwise the snake is really an illusion. So also this phenomena of world, it is an illusion, not real. But what gives it the feel of being real? That is the reality of God, reality of Rama, that Rama is real, and because of that, this world appears to be real. So, we know in general the story of Ramayana, that Rama was banished with that evil design of his stepmother, more so with the evil design of the maid servant of that stepmother. He because they conspired to have the son of the stepmother Bharat to become the king. And so, to make long story short, Rama, who was to be that coronated as the prince, that very late night, he was asked to go to forest for 14 years, giving up this kingdom idea. So he went there, and then he came to a place. There are two very similar incidents that every time he asks the sages, where should I stay, what should I do here, please bless me, and all that. And at one place he asks the sage Valmiki that where should I live. That is a very beautiful elaborate description that Valmiki asks him, hey, I will tell you where you should live, but first you tell me where you are not. Because Valmiki is seeing that the sage is actually everywhere. So first you should tell me where you are not. Then I will be able to tell you where you should go and stay. And then he went on saying, okay, if you still want to know where you should stay, I suggest you stay in the hearts of all devotees, those who have cleansed their mind of all the blemishes, all desires, and their heart is filled with a constant, tremendous love for you. Their hearts, that's the nice place for you to stay. And still Rama was looking for the practical solution. Oh, that's all right, but now I am new to this place. You are the one who dwell here all the time. Don't stop that glorification, otherwise the play will be gone. The play will be over. So, come on. So he is told now, okay, go and stay in Chitrakoot. Then their stay in the Chitrakoot was afterwards was over, and then they went further in the forest because Chitrakoot was too close to Ayodhya. Many incidents happened near Chitrakoot. One who was to be coronated as king, he refused, Bharat. He said, no, this kingdom belongs to my elder brother Rama, and I will not be the king here. Impossible. So he cursed his mother for playing all these tricks, and then rushes to forest with everybody. And requests Rama. That's another episode, very illuminating. But let us come to our main topic of discussion for this evening, that it is, then he came to Panchavati, where, which was pointed to him by the sage Agasti. That Agasti, he asked Agasti also same question, where should we stay? And this place is full of all those demons who kill the saintly people, the hermits and sages. They killed them. In fact, at one place Rama saw a huge heap of human skeletons, all these bones, and asked, what these bones mean? And then these hermits told him that, all those the demons killed, these sages, their bones. Oh my goodness, so now I am here, you should be now fearless, but you have to tell me how can I kill these demons, give me the power for that, and also tell me where myself, Rama, my brother Lakshmana, and my consort Sita, where should we stay? and he is told, okay, stay in Panchavati. It was a very nice place, and so they were living there peacefully. This is just before, a few days before, Sita was abducted by Ravana. So their life was moving on quite peacefully there. And so one day, the younger brother Lakshmana asks Rama about the spiritual disciplines, the doctrine of devotion, how to practice devotion, and such important questions. And that is the beauty of this type of text like Puranas. These are called Puranas, means they are replete with interesting stories. But in between all those stories, you will find great message that is directly discussed as philosophy. Those stories themselves have a lot of teachings in them. But again, in between these story parts, there comes this discussion. This is between these two brothers. But although they are siblings, now Lakshmana, the younger one, is looking upon Rama as God himself. How can you do that? Well, it is your elder sibling. Will you be looking at him as your sibling or as all-pervading God appearing as human being? How will you look upon him? We feel that contradiction. But Lakshmana had no such contradiction about it. That there is one level of relationship as sibling. But that doesn't mean that the other relationship is not there. He can be my teacher, I can be taught. He can be the Lord, I can be the devotee. It is not at all contradictory. How do you think it is contradictory? He is my brother, elder brother, very good. But also, he is the one, the divine appearing in human form to teach. And now I should make best use of it. And especially now, when he saw one day in that day, it is beautifully described that how nice the surrounding was. The hills, woods, streams and lakes were suffused with beauty and grew yet more lovely day by day. This is to show that what the presence of God there is doing. The already beautiful place, but yet that picturesque place was becoming more so with the presence of God. The birds and deer were full of joy, and the bees with their sweet humming looked very charming. Not even Shesha, the king of serpents, would be able to describe the forest which was adorned by Sri Rama in his manifest form, the Lord in this manifest form. The serpent Shesha is allegorically it is described that in mythology this serpent Shesh, he has 1,000 heads. And therefore he can say things so eloquently. Even with one mouth, do we stop? No. So imagine that it is this thousands of heads. So he said, even with thousands heads, he will not be able to adequately describe the beauty of this forest at that time. And then once, so thinking that Lakshmana addressed him, thinking that when he saw the Lord was sitting at ease, Lakshmana addressed him in guileless words. O Lord of gods, human beings, sages, and all animate and inanimate creation. So, he is the Lord of all, everything that is perceived. I ask of you as of my own master. Instruct me, my Lord, how I may be able to adore the dust of your feet to the exclusion of everything else. This is the feeling of surrender. This is a practice amongst the Hindus that when you adore somebody, you take the dust of the feet of that person and apply to your forehead. So, a common practice that is that the one whom you adore as divine something, you bow down to that person or that deity and then take the dust of that feet of that person and apply it to your forehead. So Lakshmana says, but then that should be a real surrender. It is not something mock. So he says, how will I be really eligible to do that? Discourse me on spiritual wisdom and also speak to me about bhakti, devotion. The two are very closely connected. That it is that discourse me on spiritual wisdom and dispassion, as well as on Maya, illusion. Tell me about these things, instruct me, and also speak to me about bhakti, which you make an occasion for showering your grace. So, it is bhakti. By knowing about bhakti, the devotion, it is the feeling of devotion will make me see these things clearly. It is a confirmed assertion of sages and scriptures that we fail to advance towards our spiritual goal, not because of lack of intellect, but because of the lack of devotion. So, therefore, the devotion is to be inculcated, should be strengthened, and when that happens, the truth, as it were, reveals itself. So, this love or devotion is described as the intense love towards God who is one's very self. That is how Narada describes it, Satu Asmin Parama Prema Rupa, that devotion is of the nature of supreme love. Supreme love, it is to what? To that which is our innermost reality, our true self. So, that is where the love is flowing. So that is the devotion. So, and he further requests, also explain to me all the difference between God and the individual soul, so that I may be devoted to your feet and my sorrow, infatuation and delusion may disappear. Very wisely this idea has been put across, that it is my sorrow. In the world we all are, you see, being dunked and brought out, again dunked, in this sea of sorrow. Somebody is holding us by neck, go in sorrow. How many times you want to get dunked in it? Keep on getting dunked. That is the nature of world, getting dunked in sorrow again and again. So, this is how this sorrow and infatuation, this is the world. We get infatuated by things in the world. What is infatuation? We do not see beyond that particular thing when we get infatuated by it. It is that when it happens that some boy and girl, they fall in so-called love to each other. They don't see anything beyond. That's it. If somebody points out, but will that be, you see, will you be able to properly survive with this? What are the other things that you are thinking about? It is, the momentary infatuation afterwards wanes. And then there is the other problems, It is so. That is called infatuation. The whole mind is filled only with that. See, it is in devotion exactly that happens, but about God, who is everything. So that is the big difference. And getting infatuated with God and God alone means because there is nothing apart from God. But here what happens, you take some changing entity and then think that that changing entity is the whole world. And well, that idea in a little time it drops off. So that is how one gets that infatuation is what happens to us about anything, It is even there are people mad in infatuation with their dog, you see. It is, nothing beyond that dog is seen. That is reality, friends. That everything is dog. That again and again the matters come to their dog. All conversation is centered on that dog. How my dog is nice, the best amongst the world, how my dog is so intelligent, how my dog wants to always meditate. It is, I'm serious, friends, that it wants to meditate always. And it is how recently it is suffering from cough, and then I need to take my dog to psychiatrist because it's feeling kind of depressed. So it is always talking about, because that is infatuation, that it is we get infatuated with all such things. So this world is like that. And we suffer for that. So how will this infatuation go away? And delusion may disappear. How? By devotion. He says, thus, when I learn from you the difference between God and the individual soul, then, and I may be devoted to your feet. Devoted to you, basically, it is said with respect that because the feet are the lowest part of human body, so even if I am devoted to that, that's good enough for me. So it is, and what will that devotion do? It will take away all sorrow, infatuation and delusion. So, Rama then starts his reply. Now Lakshmana is already a great devotee, is inseparable from Rama. See, Lakshmana was not banished to a forest. He could very well stay in the palace in Ayodhya, but he rejects all that and decides to follow Rama. So he was so associated, connected with Rama that he refused. He said, no, I am going with Rama, that's it. So he was so closely connected. So there, through that connection, now the knowledge is being exchanged. That connection of love is already there. That rapport is there. Without the rapport, the knowledge doesn't get transferred from one heart to another heart. Like the electricity being transferred, from the powerhouse where it is generated to all these devices. Well, there has to be connection. Then only that gets transferred. So, the connection is there. So, Rama says, in brief, I will tell you everything. So, I will explain everything in a nutshell. Listen, dear brother, with your mind, intellect and reason fully absorbed. Not like people listen to my class here, half the time asleep, and then otherwise also the mind is going here, there, everywhere. And so at the end, very little gets retained. So it is, and that works for my advantage also in a way. Because even if I am speaking the same thing Sunday after Sunday for decades, nobody really realizes that I am saying the same thing, because not much has stuck anyway. So it is. He tells Lakshmana, please be focused, let all your faculties be concentrated and hear what I am saying. Because I am saying in a nutshell. So just keep your mind there. The first thing he says, the feeling of I and mine and you and yours is Maya. Ignorance. What is Maya was the question. What is this idea of delusion? Now, he is not giving a long philosophical discourse about it. Something that is very practically perceived by everyone. I and mine, you and yours. This is mine, that's yours. You mind your own business. Don't poke nose in mine. This is mine, that's yours. So that is Maya, this dividing mine, yours, something to be appropriated as mine. Actually nothing is mine. Sri Ramakrishna used to say that God laughs when the two brothers, they measure the land and says that, well, this part is mine, that's yours. God laughs, well, the whole thing belongs to me. And they are saying which is mine and which is yours. So, quite a laughable thing. So it is like that, I and mine. That is, Sri Ramakrishna said, that is the nations, I and mine. And that is how he describes here that which holds sway over all created beings. Everyone is under its spell. All created beings are infected with that. Even corona leaves many people out. But Maya does not leave any created being out of its infectious influence. So everybody is infected with this ignorance, Maya. So we all think mine and yours. Even God, my God and your God, that is how the religions come to blows, that our God, in our religion, it is our God. Don't, get into our God. You manage your God. Your God is useless anyway. So that is how you say it is my God, that my and yours comes to God also. My God and your God. So it is, and that he says, whatever is perceived by the senses and that which lies within the reach of the mind, know it to be Maya. Because it is constantly changing. There is no stability to any of these things. Whatever we perceive by senses and the mind, even in dream, even in imagination, all that is unreal. It is comes and goes, just an appearance. Know that to be therefore unreal. That when we see the world, we have to make this point clear to ourselves, friends, that we are seeing a passing show. God is the screen on which this movie is going on. Movie begins and ends in a short time. In the movie time, there may be, the story may be stretched for 50 years or 1,000 years, who knows. But it all is over within, say, 1 or 2 hours while you are watching the movie. The screen remains. It didn't come with the movie, it didn't go away with the movie. So, we have to feel that this is all movie going on the screen of self. The self is just as the screen is in every picture. You can see the I is in everyone. It is, everybody has I, that is, well, we know that, like the screen, in every picture, everything has I to it. So, it is told that, therefore, know that it is the appearance. Why? When we know that, we don't get caught in it. Just as we don't get caught in the movie. And we know that it is only the screen is real there. Even the children know. And therefore, even they, when they see a big fire, sometimes in the modern movie theaters, they make the appearance so real by various, different technologies that it appears to be quite real. There is fire right here. But nobody takes out the phone and dials 911 because they know that it is not real. So when we see this world, we should remember that it is unreal. Yes, somebody in the movie would take up their phone and call 911. Then that is okay. If you call 911 from the audience, the fire truck will not be able to put out the fire in the movie. So, one must remember that this is a different status of reality is there. So, remember, God is real in all situations. It is the things sometimes are pleasant, sometimes very torturous. Sometimes it is so agonizing, and we say, when is this going to end after all? So many people keep on saying now, oh, this corona. In many countries right now it is again, the second wave is raging, including India. Terrible situation. People are saying, when will it end? Well, every movie ends, Now, it will have so many casualties, but things that begin end also. So this is all, there are the experiences of happiness which we don't say should end. When it is agonizing, then we say let it end. But they are all put in the movie. Without the conflict, there is no drama or no movie. It is conflict is necessary. It is. I remember that incident when one of our devotees, she was planning to write a play for the kids camp. So she asked, well, the theme is Ganesha. So should I write a drama on Ganesha? I said, yes, that would be very appropriate. But then she said, well, I looked into all books and stories, but I didn't find any conflict, any kind of, fight and such things in the Ganesha's life. So how can I write a drama? There has to be conflict, wars, either outside or inside. Then you can write a drama. So this movie needs all this. Somebody has to be happy at the cost of somebody else. That is, sorry. It is all, it kind of balances out. It is. So, he is mentioning that know that this is all Maya, and hear of its divisions too. They are two, knowledge and ignorance. Yeah, all is Maya, but Sri Ramakrishna used to say that Maya has two variants. One is the liberating Maya, called Maya of knowledge or Vidya, Vidya Maya. And the other is taking you to more intense bondage, avidya Maya. Both are Maya. One liberates, because the liberation is also, a part of this drama. That it is just as in the movie somebody is being caught by the robbers and then is getting released. So that the release is also in the movie, just as the being held captive is also movie. Both are movies. So liberation here is also like that. It is so both are these aspects of Maya. One Swami used to tell this. I like that story, that as he had told, that it is that Swami's uncle was an expert exorcist. So one young girl was brought to him, and then that, well, she seems to be terribly possessed by a ghost. And please do something. And then he saw the signs, and then deduced that there is no ghost possessing or anything like that for this girl. But now if he says there is no ghost, those people are not going to believe. So he said, oh, see, I see, two ghosts are there, not just one. He says two ghosts, and one of them is female, other is male. They are fighting all the time. That is why, when they fight, you see someday, like yesterday night, isn't it? It increased a lot, your troubles. Yes, because they were having big fight then. So it is all that. Okay, don't worry. Now you are here, we will take care of it. and he burned, some a little fire and put mustard seeds on this to get those hot fumes, and even some chili powder, and then don't worry, that thing has to be brought out, for a little while you will bear it. Hey, and he was screaming at the top of his voice, hey, you ghost, come out quickly! Otherwise, I am going to pulverize you to powder. Get out! Good. So one has gotten out. The other fellow is still inside. I am going to get it out too. And then like that, both went out. So now both are all gone. You are now well. And that girl started feeling well. After all this, naturally she has to feel well. So it is. So like that, we are ever free. Isn't it, Peter? We are ever free. That we sing sometimes that song of Vivekananda, that poem, we are ever free. But if we are feeling bound, well, there is this, the ghosts are there. And so those ghosts are to be taken out by this. There is no ghost, there is therefore no taking out of it. But since you are feeling this Maya, okay, there is the Maya that liberates you too. So it is like that. The one, ignorance, is vile and extremely painful, and has cast the ego into the sink of worldly existence. The other, that is knowledge, which brings forth the creation and which holds sway over the three gunas, means that has the control over things rather than being controlled by these things, is directed by the Lord and has no strength of its own. Spiritual wisdom is that which is free from all blemishes in the shape of pride, etc. And the pride is in people, and then all the virtues, the vices follow that. The pride hides all virtues. Pride in the sense that of being egotistic. So then all the vices, they start tormenting a person, and then what happens? Then you see, because of this knowledge, you start seeing the Supreme Spirit equally in all. The same I is Supreme Spirit. When it is seen in all, it is now Supreme Spirit. It is actually the same in all. That makes this knowledge, makes us actually see this. So he alone, dear brother, should be called a man of supreme dispassion, who has spurned all supernatural powers as well as the three gunas. Everything has been given up, including the supernatural powers. We may say that, oh, I don't care for supernatural powers, I am going to give up that. That is, we say that only because there is no imminent possibility of having those. So therefore it is easy to give up that. But even our small little powers, we are so attached to that. So imagine if there were supernatural powers, how we will get caught in their get infatuated by those. So even those this person does not get affected by. And then how it is, he says, they are no more than a blade of grass. All those powers are, he sees as so useless, like a blade of grass. So he doesn't care for it. And then he says, let me now describe. It is, what is this individual and the Supreme Self? What is the difference between them? Jiva and Shiva, that is how it is called in Sanskrit. Individual entity, I and mine, that is Jiva. And the self of all, that is called Shiva. So, it is he who awards bondage and liberation is Shiva, the master of everything. And Jiva is a slave of everything. And we think we are master because we have a little bit of that Shiva. So we think we are masters, but where is the mastery? We are governed by all circumstances. Our plans get disrupted by even a little wind of, say, somebody else's pressure or our own emotions getting swayed, even by these vagaries of weather. That is enough to, ground our resolutions, our these. So we are like slaves. That is the master. That's the difference. Now he describes that how dispassion, one has to get dispassion, not getting attached to these things of this world. All that has form, all that we get connected to, we have to work on that not getting connected to any of that. And it begins with the dispassion for one's own body. And when that dispassion is developed, the dispassion to all others, because we are attached to those because they are attached to this body, like my children or my other these. They are mine, I get attached to them because I am attached to body. It is, they are the volutes of the body. So, therefore, important to develop dispassion for that. And then this wisdom comes of the practice of yoga. And wisdom is the bestower of liberation. This wisdom, when we practice the yoga, means practice of getting united with God. Here yoga doesn't mean just doing that, Professor Bryant called posture yoga. It is this is not what is meant here by yoga, doing various postures. It has its own utility in different fields, but what is meant here by yoga is to get united with God, who is our inner reality. So, so declare the Vedas, and that which melts my heart quickly, dear brother, is devotion. This knowledge and yoga practices are all there, but the devotion that makes me come to that person very quickly. It melts my heart. So, it is, that is how it is also described that the sages also, their heart is affected by the prayers and the miseries of others. So, because of the love and devotion, the God comes to them very quickly. And says that the devotion does not require these other practices. It stands on its own and requires no other prop. Whereas jnana, the knowledge of God in his absolute formless aspect, and vijnana, so they all depend on devotion. Devotion, dear brother, is incomparable and the very root of bliss. With devotion, you get connected to God. That is what happens then. God is bliss. Just as you get connected to the source of electricity, you get electricity. You get connected to God, who is of the nature of bliss, with devotion. And now the bliss comes in your life. That is this simple and in fact the only way of becoming happy in this world. Otherwise, there is no happiness. Let us remember that if we want to be happy, and who doesn't want? Everybody wants to become happy. But the only way for that is get connected to the source of happiness. And what happens is that we go to some other sources who do not have any happiness. It is like, somebody wants to buy milk and instead of going to the grocery store, goes to a jewelry shop or in a barber shop, and they don't sell milk there. So you can't go to a lumber shop or such place find out where milk is available, go there. So where is the bliss available? The storehouse of bliss. That is God. With devotion get connected to that. And thus you will get that bliss in your life. So this is how, it is as such very simple. If we try even a little bit, we will be able to verify the truth of this. That the life becomes full of bliss when we get connected to God. There is no doubt about it at all. So, it is, and he describes that is how this devotion is being practiced. He says there are these 9 ways of devotion are described here, that how there are different connections with God and also different ways. Whatever you do, it is described in 9. These are the Shravana, keep on hearing about God only. Kirtana, keep on chanting the name of God and God's hymns. So, then Smarana, think about God. Then Padasevana, that is wherever you get an opportunity, whatever you do it as service to the Lord. Then Archanam, do worship to God in various different ways. Then do salutations. Then feel that there are other now various aspects of connection. Dasya means feel that you are the servant of God. Then or other mood is there, you are Sakhya, you are friend of God. That whatever the human connections you have between other human beings, form them with God, form with this source of bliss, and thus you will get bliss flowing in and into you through all these connections. So this is described to Lakshmana, and through Lakshmana it has been described to us all. So feeling this, we will get our life illumined. So let us salute Lord Rama. Ramaya Ramachandraya Ramabhadraya Vedase Raghunathaya Nathaya Sitaya Pataye Namaha. Are there any questions? Oh, I thought that a nice only story today, no questions will be there.
Question from Annalacia.
Okay.
Can we not feel devotion to people, animals, and nature? Isn't that kind of devotion a sign that we recognize God in them?
It is very different. If you really see God in them and through them you are devoted to God, not to those nature or animals, or otherwise you get caught in them. You do not, that is what happens, it becomes an infatuating relationship and takes us away from God. Yes, but if it is transformed, that through that you are getting connected to God, that intense feeling of God has to be there for that. Otherwise, there comes this delusional effect intensified, that you are not connected to God but just kind of, camouflage your attachment to those things by thinking that, well, after all, God is in them also. So I am, through them, I am getting connected to God. One must, introspect with what we are getting connected to. Once you see that all this world is just various forms, passing, changing, unreal forms of God, then through anything one will be able to get connected to God. That is true. Otherwise, it is it doesn't happen. It is very easy, to feel comfortable that okay, I am connected to all these things, and after all, God is in them also. So, thus, I am connected to God, isn't it? Yes, you are. Nobody can really be disconnected with God from God's point of view. But are you really feeling God, or you are feeling the dog? That's the question. It is that the important point is that where our attention is, where our feeling is. Yeah, thank you. Nice question. Okay, Johnny.
Would you say there's a strong relationship between morals and devotion?
I am not able to get.
Would you say that there's a strong relationship between morals and devotions?
There is a relationship between moral and devotion, means that if you are practicing devotion, then you have to be moral. An immoral person's devotion will not be really devotion, because it is an automatic corollary that the person becomes moral by practice of devotion. But the other way, it is not true that one can be moral in the social sense but may not have devotion. The two things are different, yeah. Yes.
My question is about Rama's devotee Hanuman.
Yes, Hanuman.
Yes. How we're supposed to understand Hanuman? Is he a historic personality or just a spiritual being?
No. Well, as the story goes, Hanuman has the shape of monkey. It is described that it is a monkey, but he is a very wise monkey, very devoted monkey. It is, and he is devoted to God. Buddhimatam varishtham, he is described as the best amongst intellectuals, and has this feeling of complete surrender to Rama, and therefore he is the ideal of devotees, that let us be surrendering to God like Hanumana. Swami Vivekananda wanted to inculcate that ideal amongst the youths. that yes, have the brilliance, have the strength, and may all that be put in the service of the Lord. So that is Hanuman, a great character to learn from. Yeah. Yes, Yona?
You mentioned at the beginning that God is not subject to Maya, that God is the master of Maya. So is that true of God in human form, specifically Holy Mother, where sometimes when she's asked, she says that about her divine nature, it seems like she says that sometimes she recognizes it and sometimes she doesn't. And it's like a covering comes over her mind.
Well, they are always masters of Maya, incarnation of God, and Holy Mother is supreme amongst them, that they are masters of Maya. Sometimes they take the covering by their own free will and remove it. That is what Holy Mother says. Sometimes I am covered with it, sometimes not. But she is really taking the covering and removing it. She is master of that. And that is the important thing. So let us conclude with the closing prayers, and then today we will have Arati, and after Arati there will be the Rama Nama Sankirtanam. Oh, let me tell the upcoming programs. Next Sunday, there is no more Sundays in April. What is the May? What is the first Sunday topic? Oh, here it is. Yeah, sorry. Ideas about creation. That is the topic that ideas about that. Next Sunday we will discuss that. Tuesday and Friday classes will go on. As usual, on Tuesdays the topic is Sri Ramakrishna and his divine play. On Fridays it is stories from Srimad Bhagavatam. Both begin at 7:30 p.m. Also there will be the regular morning, evening meditation prayer sessions which are also open to people. Of course there will be the time restrictions and all that. Yeah, you are welcome to join. May the Divine, who is Father in heaven of the Christians, Holy One of the Jewish faith, Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Taoists, Great Spirit of the Native Americans, Ahur Mazda of the Zoroastrians, and Brahman of the Hindus, lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the all-loving being manifest himself unto us and grant us abiding understanding and all-consuming divine love. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.
जय श्री स्वामी विवेकानंद की जय। जय श्री बुद्धदेव की जय। जय श्री जीसस क्राइस्ट की जय।
श्रीनाथे जानकी नाथे अभेद परमात्मने तथापि मम सर्वस्व राम कमललोचनः। ॐ श्रीरामचन्द्राय नमः। वर्णानामर्थसङ्घानां रसानां छन्दसामपि मङ्गलानां च कर्तारो वन्दे वाणी विनायको भवानी शङ्करो वन्दे श्रद्धा विश्वासरूपिणो याभ्यां विना न पश्यन्ते सिद्धा स्वान्तस्थमीश्वरम् श्रीराघवं दशरथात्मजमप्रमेयं सीतापतिं रघुकुलान्वयरत्नदीपम् आजानुबाहुमरविन्ददलायताक्षं रामं निशाचरविनाशकरं नमामि। वैदेही सहितं सुरद्रुमतले हैमे महामण्डपे मध्ये पुष्पक आसने मणिमये वीरासने संस्थितम् अग्रे वाचयति प्रभञ्जनसुते तत्त्वं मुनेन्द्रै परं व्याख्यातं भरतादिभिः परिवृतं रामं भजे श्यामलम्। नान्यस्पृहा रघुपते हृदये स्मदीये सत्यं वदामि च भवान् अखिलान्तरात्मा भक्तिं प्रयच्छ रघुपुङ्गव निर्भरां मे कामादिदोषरहितं कुरु मानसं च। ॐ श्री सीता लक्ष्मण भरत शत्रुघ्न हनुमत् समेत श्री रामचंद्र परब्रह्मणे नमः। शुद्ध ब्रह्म परात्पर राम कालात्मक परमेश्वर राम। शुद्ध ब्रह्म परात्पर राम कालात्मक परमेश्वर राम। शेषतल्पसुखनिद्रितरां ब्रह्माद्यामरप्रार्थितरां चण्डकिरणकुलमण्डनरां श्रीमद्दशरथनन्दनरां कौसल्यासुखवर्धनरां विश्वामित्रप्रियधनरां घोरताटकाघातकरां मारीचादिनिपातकरां कौशिकमखसंरक्षकरां श्रीमदहल्योद्धारकरां गौतममुनिसम्पूजितरां सुरमुनिवरगणसंस्तुतरां नाविकधावितमृदुपदरां मिथिलापुरजनमोहकरां विदेहमानसरञ्जकरां त्र्यम्बककार्मुखभञ्जकरां सीतार्पितवरमालिकरां कृतवैवाहिककौतुकरां भार्गवदर्पविनाशकरां श्रीमदयोध्यापालकरां शुद्धब्रह्मपरात्पररां कालात्मकपरमेश्वरराम् अगणितगुणगणभूषितराम् अवनीतनया कामितराम् राकाचन्द्रसमाननराम् पितृवाक्याश्रितकाननराम् प्रियगुहविनिवेदितपदराम् तक्षालितनिजमृदुपदराम् भरद्वाजमुखनन्दकरां चित्रकूटाद्रिनिकेतनरां दशरथसन्ततचिन्तितरां कैकेयीतनयार्तितरां विरचितनिजपितृकर्मकरां भरतार्पितनिजपादुकरां शुद्धब्रह्मपरात्पररां कालात्मकपरमेश्वररां दण्डकवनजनपावनरां तुष्टविराधविनाशनरां शरभङ्गसुतीक्ष्ण अर्चितराम् अगस्त्यानुग्रहवर्धितरां गृध्राधिपसंसेवितरां पञ्चवटीतटसुस्थितरां शुद्धब्रह्मपरात्पररां कालात्मकपरमेश्वरराम् शूर्पणखार्तिविधायकरां खरदूषणमुखसूदकरां सीताप्रियहरिणानुगरां मारीचार्तिकृदाशुगरां विनष्टसीतान्वेषकरां गतिदायकरां शबरीदत्तफलाशनरां हितकर लक्ष्मण संयुत राम कपिवर संतत संस्कृत राम तद्गति विघ्न ध्वंसक राम सीता प्राणाधारक राम दुष्ट दशानन दूषित राम शिष्ट हनुमद भूषित राम सीता वेदित ककवन राम कृत चूड़ामणि दर्शन राम कपिवर वचनाश्वासित राम रावण निधन प्रस्थित राम वानर सैन्य समावृत राम शोषित सरिदेशार्थित राम विभीषणा भयदायक राम पर्वत सेतु निबंधक राम कुंभकर्ण शिरछेदक राम राक्षस संघ विमर्दक राम अहिमहि रावण चारण राम संहृत दशमुख रावण राम विधि भव मुख सुर संस्तुत राम खस्थित दशरथ वीक्षित राम सीता दर्शन मोदित राम अभिषेक्त विभीषण नत राम पुष्पकयानारोहण राम भरद्वजाभिनिषेवण राम भरत प्राण प्रियकर राम साकेत पुरी भूषण राम सकल स्वीय समानत राम रत्नल सत्पीठास्थित राम पट्टाभिषेकालंकृत राम पार्थिव कुल सम्मानित राम विभीषणार्पित रंगक राम ईश कुलानुग्रह कर राम सकल जीव संरक्षक राम समस्त लोकाधारक आगत मुनिगण संस्तुत राम विश्रुत दशकंठोद्भव राम सीतालिंगन निवृत राम नीति सुरक्षित जनपद राम विपिन त्याजित जनक राम कारित लवणासुरवध राम स्वर्गत शंभुक संस्तुत राम स्वतनय कुशलव वंदित राम अश्वमेध क्रतु दीक्षित राम कालावेदित सुरपद राम अयोध्यक जन मुक्तिद राम विधि भुव मुकुदानंदक राम तेजोमय निज रूपक राम संस्कृति बंध विमोचक राम धर्म स्थापन तत्पर राम भक्ति परायण मुक्तिद राम सर्वचराचर पालक राम सर्वभवामय वारक राम वैकुंठालय संस्थित राम नित्यानंद पद स्थित राम 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 जय राजा राम 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 जय Raja Ram, Ram Ram Jai Sita Ram, Ram Ram Jai Raja Ram, Ram Ram Jai Sita Ram, Sita Ram Jai Raja Ram, Raja Ram Jai Sita Ram. Shuddha Brahma Paratpar Ram, Kalatmak Parameshwar Ram. भयहर मंगल दशरथ राम, जय जय मंगल सीताराम, भयहर मंगल दशरथ राम, जय जय मंगल सीताराम, मंगल कर जय मंगल राम, संगत शुभ विभवोदय राम, मंगल कर जय मंगल राम, संगत शुभ विभवोदय राम, आनंदामृत वर्षक राम, आश्रित वत्सल जय जय राम, आनंदामृत वर्षक राम, आश्रित वत्सल जय जय राम, रघुपति राघव राजा राम, पतित पावन सीताराम, 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 पतित पावन सीताराम। आपदामपहर्तारं लोकदातारं सर्वसम्पदां, लोकाभिरामं श्रीरामं भूयो भूयो नमाम्यहम्। रामाय रामचन्द्राय रामभद्राय वेधसे, रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीताया पतये नमः। अतुलितबलधामं स्वर्णशैलाभदेहं, दनुजवनकृशानु ज्ञानिनामग्रगण्यं, सकलगुणनिधानं वानराणामधीशं, रघुपतिवरदूतं वातजातं नमामि। गोष्पदीकृतवारीशं मशकीकृतराक्षसं, रामायणमहाकाव्यं वदनानन्दनं वीरं जानकी शोकनाशनं कपीशमक्षहन्तारं वन्दे लङ्काभयङ्करम् उल्लङ्घ्य सिन्धो सलिलं सलीलं यशोकवह्निं जनकात्मजायाः आदाय तेनैव ददाह लङ्कां नमामि तं प्राञ्जलिराञ्जनेयम् मनोजवं मारुततुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयूथमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शिरसा नमामि आञ्जनेयमतिपाटलाननं काञ्चनाद्रिकमनीयविग्रहं पारिजाततरुमूलवासिनं भावयामि पवमानन्दनम् यत्र यत्र रघुनाथकीर्तनं तत्र तत्र कृतमस्तकाञ्जलिं बाष्पवारि परिपूर्णलोचनं मारुतिं नमत राक्षसान्तकम् सिया राम सिया राम सिया राम जय जय राम सिया राम सिया राम सिया राम ही आधार जाने सारा संसार सिया राम ही आधार जाने सारा संसार जे दिल में विचार जय जय राम सिया राम सिया राम सिया राम जय जय राम उनकी महिमा अपार कोई पावे न पार उनकी महिमा अपार कोई पावे न पार गुण गावे हजार जय जय राम सिया राम सिया राम सिया राम जय जय राम सिया राम सिया राम सिया राम हरन धरने के भार लिए नर के अवतार हरन धरने के भार लिए नर के अवतार नमो दशरथ कुमार जय जय राम सिया राम सिया राम सिया राम जय जय राम सिया राम सिया राम सिया राम काने कुंडल बेसाल तिलक सोहे जाके भाल काने कुंडल बेसाल तिलक सोहे जाके भाल लटपट पगिया रसाल जय जय राम सिया राम सिया राम सिया राम जय जय राम सिया श्री दशरथ के लाल कुशल पालक कृपाल श्री दशरथ के लाल कुशल पालक कृपाल राजीव लोचन विशाल जय जय राम सिया राम सिया राम सिया राम जय जय राम सिया राम सिया राम सिया राम जय जय राम सिया राम सिया राम सिया राम जय जय राम सिया राम सिया राम जय सीता माँ